What's up, everybody? It is Thursday, July 45, and today we're going to be talking about the errors of science. Did you guys actually believe that? Did you guys actually believe that it was July 45? You guys believed it. You guys believed it. It's not July 45. Actually, I don't even know what that is. It's July 20th. Anyways, if you guys Google what science, the definition of science, here's what you get. The definition of science is the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. So in order for something to be scientific, it's got to be, you have to be able to observe it, you have to be able to conduct experiments on it, you have to be able to repeat it over and over. For example, okay, let's make an example. What's a scientific example? Okay. If you put water in a pot and you put it on the stove, turn on the stove, it'll heat up and it'll start to boil. That's scientific. You can observe it, you can experiment on it, you can do what, you can observe it. So since you can observe it and since you can experiment with it and since you can repeat the process over and over and you get the same results all the time, it is scientific. It is a scientific fact that when you put water in a pot and put it on the stove, turn on the stove, it will boil all the time. That's a scientific fact that you can observe. So, again, if you cannot observe it, it is not scientific. If you cannot observe it, it is not, you guys already know where I'm going with this. Show this to your atheist friends. If you can't observe it, it's not scientific. You guys already know where I'm going to go with this. I'm pretty sure you guys already know. I know that you guys are not, I know you guys are smart. So I'm pretty sure you guys already know where I'm going. Where I'm going. Where am I going? I'm going to work. Why do I have my hand on my face? I don't know. All right, Joe. All right, guys. Let's do something exciting. I am at the church. Gotta do the bulletin for this Sabbath. We're gonna conduct a little science experiment. Okay? Here's what we're gonna do. This is a key. That is a keyhole. So this experiment is scientific because you can observe it. You can see it. You can observe it. You could do it. You could repeat it. You could experiment with. You could experiment it. You could do it over and over and over again. Okay, check this out. Key goes in the keyhole. Boom. You see how scientific that was? Very scientific. Proud of myself. Proud of myself. Proud of myself. Did it again, see? I observed it and we repeated it. That is science. That is science. Okay, see? I'm on a roll here. I'm on a roll. I don't know about you guys, but I'm on a roll. Okay? Science has to be observed. As you can see, you can observe the key going into the keyhole. You can observe the turn. You could observe that. You could even hear it unlocking. That's a form of observation as well. I'm on a roll. I'm a scientist, okay? So I'm at the church right now doing the bulletin for our church here, the Sabbath bulletin. And I've been thinking about all this scientific, this science, and I call it fake science, evolution and the Big Bang Theory and things like that. These are things that we don't observe every day, right? We don't observe these things. Now people can make claims and say, I've seen this post one day where the claim was that when your fingers get wrinkly underwater because it's an evolutionary trait so that you can pick up things underwater. It's easier for you to pick up things underwater. That's the claim. But is that scientific? Did we observe that? Were we there to observe that? No. So it can't be science. It seems as if all these evidences are assumptions. Killer whales, I think it was killer whales or blue whale. I don't know. I think it was killer whales. Killer whales have pelvic bones. Why? They have pelvic bones, right? This is what a scientist said. Scientists said that they have pelvic bones because back in the day, billions of years ago, they used to walk on land, and the feet were attached to those pelvic bones. But the thing is, were we there to observe that? No. So they are just making claims. They're just making assumptions about these things. And then the old we have a tailbone here because we used to be monkeys type of thing. That's also an assumption. That's not evidence at all. That's an assumption. And it's not scientific because we were not there to observe it. Remember, in order for something to be scientific, we have to be able to observe it. We weren't there to observe if we were monkeys or not. We are just making claims. These fake scientists are just making claims and making assumptions of what they see because they don't want to comply to the fact that we were created. I'm guessing they're scared of the truth or whatever the case may be, but these are all assumptions. And we all know what happens when you assume. When you assume, you make something out of nothing. You guys thought I was gonna say something else? No, that would not be Christian of me. But yeah, when you're dealing with assumptions, you're not dealing with facts. You're not dealing with truth. You're just dealing with a claim, and those claims might not be the truth. And by the looks of it, when you really, really study it, they are not the truth. They are just claims. They are just assumptions. So the next time you guys see another example of an evolutionary claim, you gotta look at it and ask the question: did they assume this? Or is this for real? Can you observe it? Because if you can observe it and you can experiment on it and then you can repeat it over and over again, then it's scientific. But if you can't observe it, if it's hiding behind billions of years and you don't observe it, then it's not scientific. Then you'd have to rely on faith. You'd have to rely on belief. So then it's crossing the boundaries of it's not scientific anymore. It's now faith or religion. You guys get what I'm saying? So a few years ago, I think I was like 7 or 8. Me and my big sister, we were still back in the Philippines. This was before we came to America. In the Philippines, we had a lot of pets. Well, not really pets. More like farm animals. So we had a lot of farm animals because we used to live in a farm, and we had a dog. We had 2 dogs. So in the house there was like a bookshelf type of thing, and on top of the bookshelf it was kind of like small, like kind of like up to my hip. So on top of that bookshelf there was this mirror. So my uncle lived kind of like right in front of us, right? And in their backyard they have a mango tree. So everybody except for me, everybody in my family, they were outside picking mangoes from the mango tree because it was a season to pick mangoes, right? I was the only one in my house. I was there with our pet dogs, and one of the pet dogs decided to jump up the shelf and broke the mirror that was on top of that shelf. I was about 7 years old or something, right? My sister was about 9, I think. So I think it was either my sister or my grandma that got mad because the mirror was broken, and then they blamed me for it. And I think it was my sister. My sister was like, I already know what happened. You did this, you did that, you were playing around, and then you broke the mirror. When in reality, it wasn't me that broke the mirror. It was the dog that broke the mirror, because the dog was the one running around. I think I was eating or playing something with my toy trucks, or toy truck. The only toy truck I had. The only toy I had in the Philippines. The only toy I had in the Philippines was a toy truck and a little Batman. And so my sister came in and she was like, "Oh, I already knew what happened. You were playing this and that, and you were running around in here, and You broke the you hit the shelf and you broke the mirror. It was your fault. So she was making all kinds of assumptions. She was making all kinds of assumptions about me, about who broke the mirror, about how this thing happened. But was she right? No. At the end of the day, they're just assumptions. You know, we make a lot of assumptions today. And one of the biggest assumption is the Big Bang Theory. That's the biggest assumption there is. That nothing exploded, or a little dot, right? A little dot exploded and then made everything. That's the most gigantic assumption I've ever heard in my entire life. When I got here to America, when I was in like sixth grade or something, I believed the lie that nothing exploded and then made everything. And I didn't think to myself, like, how do they know that? What calculations do you have to make? What calculations? I mean, think of it. Let's pretend that there's nothing here in your hand. Close your eyes for a minute. How long do you have to wait for something within this space? How long do you have to wait for something there, or for nothing there, to explode and then make a universe? You'd have to wait for infinity, because it will never happen. It will never ever happen. And I believed that lie when I was a little kid. When I was a teenager, I believed that lie. That nothing exploded and made everything. You know what that is? That is not science at all. That is an assumption. Actually, that's not even an assumption. That's not even an assumption, because an assumption, you can only make assumption when there is an evidence for something. There isn't even an evidence for a Big Bang. And when I say Big Bang, I'm talking about the theory that nothing exploded and made everything. There's not even one single clue. There's not even one single evidence for that. Not one. You can claim that these are evidences of nothing exploding into something. But that is a huge, gigantic, ginormous, bigger than Goliath assumption. Huge assumption. We shouldn't even assume things like that, because it's not very, I'm sorry to say this, but it's not very intelligent for people to assume something like that can ever happen. It's an assumption. You don't even know. You weren't even there 50 billion years ago for you to observe that, and then for you to come into the future, for you to build a time machine, go to the future and say, hey, look, this is what happened 50 billion years ago. We don't even have that kind of... Do we have that kind of technology? No, we don't even have that kind of... Do we? Maybe the government is trying to hide something. But the point is, it's a huge assumption, and we already know what happens with assumptions. We already know what happens when you assume things. You make something out of nothing, and I know that you guys were you guys were thinking I was going to say something else, like a bad word or something, but not me. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian, okay? Just got home and I'm super tired. So tired. I wanna go to sleep. But I gotta finish this video because that's what I do, videos. That's what I do. So, science. What is true science? We already know what true science is. We already defined it in Google. In order for something to be scientific, you'd have to be able to observe it. You'd have to be able to experiment on it, and it has to be. You have to be able to repeat the observation, repeat those experiments. The idea that nothing exploded and then made everything, the idea that something came from nothing, that's not scientific. So those who came up with the Big Bang Theory, where this little dot or whatever exploded and then magically organized the whole world. I mean, look, the world is a system. You need the sun in order for the trees to grow. You need the water and the dirt in order for the trees to grow. And the trees has to grow in order for there to be air. So the world is very systematic. It's like a cycle system. As you guys can tell, my eye is red. Some of you guys have been asking me why my eye is red all the time. My right eye is red. Well, 5 years ago, I used to work for construction, or I think it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I used to work for construction and painting and stuff like that. And what happened was we were at this job site, and at the ceiling there was a big bang. There was a big bang at the ceiling on top of the. I was looking up. I heard the big bang. I was looking up, and it was a bunch of dust particles and grime and stuff that went in my eye. And from that day on, ever since then, my right eye is very easily irritated. Like, the wind can blow this way and it'll make my eye red. I mean, it's not all the time, but I've gotten it checked out before, and they gave me some little eye drops or whatever. Maybe it's time for me to go get it checked out again. Pray for me. But also, it's also due to, I should be sleeping at 9 p.m. But sometimes I have so many things to do here. I got the videos to edit. I got the movies to edit. I go to work. Sometimes I sleep late, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's not good for me. And I try to wake up at 9, go to work. But anyway, like I said before, man, this idea, this whole Big Bang evolution idea is really ridiculous. I mean, if you really study it, because I've studied this before. I used to be kind of an atheist. I've studied this before, and I was looking at this, and I'm like, man, these evidences are not evidences at all. They are just assumptions. This whole thing, like, how is it possible that a person from today can be so sure that 50 billion years ago, or whatever, 1,000 billion years ago, or whatever, there was nothing, and then that nothing exploded and then made everything? Like, that's not even a scientific thought. That's not even science right there. That's going beyond science, and going beyond science and going into the world of faith and belief. That's not science. You can't observe it. In order for you to be truly sure about that, you'd have to be there. You'd have to experience it. And none of us have ever experienced it. None. It's kind of like me going to a desert, finding a couch, and then I'll be like, oh, I know how this couch got here. It's a bunch of Ewoks. A bunch of Ewoks came here to drop this couch off, and they forgot it here. And then they walked off, and we don't see their footprints because the wind and the sand covered the footprints. It's an assumption. And then people just go ahead and agree with that. Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, a bunch of Ewoks dropped this couch off here for no reason. Yeah, that sounds about right. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Who are we fooling here? It's foolishness, really. It's foolishness. God have mercy on them. I mean, what else can I say? But thank you guys for watching. And if you guys were blessed by this video, please like and share. Share with your friends, your family, your relatives, your coworkers, whomever you know would be blessed by this video, this vlog. I'm so tired. And if you guys are new to this channel and want to watch more Christian content, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. And if you guys want to support this video ministry and want to keep this ministry afloat, please pray for this online video ministry. And if you guys want to keep this ministry afloat, please donate at schoolforprophets.tv, and we would surely appreciate it. Thank you guys again for watching. Praise God always, and I'm going to bed. Thank you guys for watching.